So this piqued my interest. Something happening between Mutahar and Nux Taku. Now, I'll be real, before going to this video, I like both of these people. I'm not necessarily friends with either of them, but I am cordial with both. I've been on their podcast many times, which I found out yesterday fell apart 4 months ago, which was a shame because I went on their podcast 3 times. I enjoyed every single second of it. It was great. Love talking with Muta, Nux, and Oompaville, even though Oompaville never talks. I heard there was some weird ass shit that happened between Muta and Nux. I was gonna look into it, but the video was deleted and delisted. But I heard there was something about lollies and, oh God. Let's just see what's going on here, guys.
Here. So it appears that the Sonichu medallion has claimed another soul. Only a few months after putting on this cursed trinket, Mutahar finds himself in some pretty serious...
If you don't know what Sonichu is, there's this guy on the internet called Chris Chan, the most documented human of all time. He draws these OCs of Sonic characters and mixes them with Pikachu, and he believes that they're real. He f***ed his mom while she was in a coma, and yeah, misfortune falls on anybody who wears the Sonichu necklace pendant. You've been caught up on the internet lore. If you didn't know that, well, now you're also cursed that information. I apologize. It's f***ing weird, and apparently he has a kid. Anyways, let's move forward.
Controversy involving this now privated video he uploaded yesterday titled Post Nux Clarity, which, regardless of your thoughts about the content of this video, you have to admit the title is a banger.
It's hilarious.
Now, what was this video about? Well, it was 40 minutes of Mutahar disavowing Nux Taku in every shape and form, saying that they are no longer friends and they no longer have a business relationship, and any bridge between the two has been completely burned down. Now, this tweet right here really kind of sums up the relevant context you need to know before we get into the video. Of course, there are some re-uploads that we're going to look at today.
Okay.
So this says, Nux goes...
So I'll be real. The moment the Lolicon community gets involved, and I hate even referring to them as this, but I will say the Lolicon community is some of the most manipulative people on the internet. And the reason why is because they're sick, and they're sick in the head. What they do is they try very desperately to make everybody else be at their level because they don't want to accept that they're sick in the head. So the moment anything involving child anime characters comes up, things starts getting really weird. I was in the grocery store yesterday and I was in HEB, and I'll be real, I'm at the point where I don't even want to talk about it anymore. They won. They beat me. They did. They absolutely did. It is so insane. And it is just simply not worth the headache because these people will go through 5 years, 6 years of your content and find any clip and attempt to twist it in whatever way to make it seem like, yeah, this guy likes anime kids too. It'll be completely disingenuous, but the community doesn't care. So the moment this community gets involved, I go into hyper-analysis mode, I take everything with a grain of salt, and I really try to get to the bottom of things. And that's what we're gonna do here today.
Extreme anti-lolly to cater to people like Mutahar. Rev exposes Nux for being a hypocrite. Nux says he's so big he could deplatform Rev. Mutahar makes a video damning and cutting ties with Nux because he considers him a lolicon.
So here's the issue. I had a lengthy discussion with Rev, because Rev made a call-out post on me for quote-unquote being a lolicon many moons ago. And I responded to him in DMs, and he admitted that what he said was skewed, was at a certain point misinformation. However, he didn't take the post down, even though he knows that now he knows why what happened, and the real clarity of what actually happened. I'm a Coomer. Everybody knows I'm a Gooner. And a couple years ago, I was following thousands, I mean this, not an exaggeration, thousands of porn accounts. One of them, of the thousands, converted from making normal adult hentai into lollycuck porn. I didn't notice it. Someone on the internet picked up on it, and then all of a sudden, oh, look what he's looking at, it's disgusting. When in reality, if you go back, you'll find like characters like post time skip Yoko Littner sucking a dick, followed it for one post, and then all of a sudden you're responsible for everything they post at the end of the time. It is the biggest stretch of the imagination whatsoever. I was called a hypocrite. It's just simply not true. And I don't know why people want to make it seem like it's not true, because if I was mentally delusional enough to actually be into this shit, I would just say it. I don't care. So Nux goes extreme anti-lolly to cater people like Mutahar, or perhaps I'm gonna just twist something for you. Maybe he just doesn't like lollies. Rev says Dusty exposes Nux for being a hypocrite. Rev calls everybody a hypocrite, and I'll be real, guys. Being a hypocrite is not on the same level as jerking off to anime kids. And people need to stop pretending that it is. For some reason, people think being a hypocrite is like this biggest, most awful thing that you can do in your entire fucking life. Nux says he's so big he could deplatform. Rev says Destu and that he lied. Who cares? Okay, now here's the thing. I still actively watch Rev. I like his content, I really do. I don't know if he said this. I don't know if he said this, but I don't really feel the need to deplatform anybody. I am willing to accept everybody for who they are. The problem is when people lie and they want to make them seem like we're the same and we're not. I'm okay with accepting everybody for who they are. I really am. I just don't want to fucking know about it. I am confident that there are some of my friends who are probably into some weird ass shit. I just don't want to hear about it, and I want to make sure behind closed doors everything they're doing is consensual. And if it is, that's all I fucking care about it. Mutahar makes a video damning and cutting ties with Nux because he considers him a lolicon. I don't really know how this jumps to that, but who knows? Anyways, let's continue here.
Yeah, so that's pretty much how everything went. So about 2 years ago, Nux makes a bunch of tweets and some offhand remarks and videos disparaging people over the topic of lolly. Now, this is, of course, something...
And I do want to say, and this is a pretty bold take, regardless of all me and Rev's history, I actually still like the guy, right? I have a good opinion of him. I like the way he presents his videos. And to be honest, that's all I really care about. I don't really give a fuck about anything else. As long as I like your videos, you're good in my books, and I like his videos. That's just me. I can have a disagreement. I can have drama with somebody. Somebody can even fuck me over. As long as they like their content, that's all I care about. It is what it is.
Something that was very hypocritical. I made a video calling all of that out, saying, hey, you have dozens of videos with cropped lolicon in your thumbnail. You've also shown this sort of content to other content creators and reacted to it yourself. And he would make this response video to what I said. And you can see the like-dislike ratio. It is easily the hardest dislike ratio you'll probably find on any video.
Well, yeah, this doesn't really matter. The lolicon community goes crazy or everything. So the other thing is that, yeah, I can agree that Nux's content is really fucking weird. But the thing is, all of these thumbnails were from the past. He's damned it. He says he regrets it and he's moving forward from it. I really don't think that people should have their past action used against them when they've already said, that's not me anymore, I'm moving forward, and they've shown steps moving away from that. I think it's very damaging on the internet when someone acknowledging their past deeds and saying, I fucked up, isn't good enough. Because at that point, what do you want these people to do? Kill themselves? Because that's pretty much the only alternative that you're getting them. You can't hold people's mistakes from 3-4 years ago and then carry it forward till today. I have a lot of people in my family who want to hold against a certain member of my family for being an alcoholic. And it's been like 20, 25 years since then. It's been 20 years. Move on. It's been 2 years. Move on. The only thing that matters is they apologize, they mean it, and then they move forward. And as long as that's happened, that's really all you can really do.
Uploaded in his entire YouTube career. No need to make a video response to this because he essentially cooked himself. Okay, he went after me, hypocritically slandering me over things, also failing to address pretty much any point I made, focusing only on throwing insults at me. Also, he made up some wild claims that my wife was digging for dirt, asking his friends for dirt on him, which is really crazy. On top of that, he also said he could have deplatformed me if he uploaded this on his main Nux Taku channel. Obviously, that didn't go over very well, and that's kind of the Nux side.
Yeah, the whole deplatforming other content creators thing is very weird. The only people who I think deserve to have their platform removed are people who are making, like, very disgusting content like lolly blowjob tier list, because that was a video made by another creator and that was just fucking disgusting. That doesn't need to be on YouTube. There's kids on this site. Like, that's weird.
Of this whole lolly controversy. And now we have the side with Mutahar here. And about 2 years ago, Mutahar made several tweets about the topic, saying that if you watch that stuff, you need to be on a watch list, that it can harm real people, and that it's illegal content and all this stuff. And of course, his disgust on the topic is totally valid. That's something very understandable and that he's allowed to have, but that doesn't justify spreading misinformation and fear-mongering over the topic, and also being a hypocrite about it as well, as we'll see in this video. And on top of that, a lot of people point out the fact that he has openly admitted to regularly consuming cartel execution videos So at the very least, regardless of your thoughts on the fictional content, you can say, I don't really know if I want to be virtue signaled about fictional content by a guy who watches people get tortured and brutally executed on camera.
Well, that's really weird. Is there any proof of that? There's a lot of assumptions being made. Is there proof of that? Because that is obviously very unnerving. Now, obviously, I knew a lot of kids like that back when I was in high school, where the edgy kids would go on 4chan, they'd go on 4/B, and they'd watch the Pain Olympics, like scissors being put in someone's dick, jar being shoved up their ass. But to watch that shit at that late of an age is unnerving. He admitted to watching them. He openly admitted watching it. I would love to wait for that clip. I want to take your word for it, Chad. I know you guys usually try to keep me on the straight and narrow.
Right. So that's kind of where we were at. And I held out a lot of copium. I made the mistake of having some copium on the situation because I've enjoyed Mutahar's content for many years. And I know he's had good takes on other things. So I thought maybe one day he would have a more nuanced take on this whole subject. And
I also like
maybe
Mutahar
just
quite a
even
bit.
ignore it from now on. But then we had this video. And basically, to achieve what we're doing today, we're going to have to talk about some hentai, which seems fitting because if there was tags applied to this situation, it would be mind break because this topic has mind broken Mutahar to the point where he's saying some pretty unhinged crazy stuff, including making a whole 40-minute video about this topic where he is, of course, disavowing Nux Taku over this subject. So, as I said, the video is now private, but there are re-uploads all over the place. And we're going to start with...
The question is, why did he take the video down? Because that's important to know. This video was taken down. So were there things he said in this video that he did not stand by? I'm not sure. I know, because of the backlash, but there wasn't even really that much backlash.
This clip right here where he's basically giving kind of the...
Here you go, Techie. It's at 31:30.
Crit forever as well, dude virtue signals over cartoons, but loves watching beheading videos. So I want to also address this statement as well. Now, on the podcast, I talked about a morbid curiosity that I have with like beheading videos, like cartel stuff on the internet. And I feel like I have to explain this a little bit more. My morbid curiosity comes from the fact that for a long time, for years at this point, I've been looking into the Mexican drug war. And if you ever followed like cartel social media, one of the weirdest things about their social media is you actually have like gang bosses, sicarios, like actual hitmen, like real hardened gangsters posting on Instagram, TikTok, posting on really any social media platform, their mansions, their extravagant lifestyles, they've got gold guns, Ferrari.
Okay, that's insane. Jesus Christ, okay.
The general intro to what we're going to talk about today.
But to go back to it, Nux Taku is a former collaborator, a former friend of mine, and I mean really a former friend of mine because some of the stuff that I've seen over here is disgusting enough that I really can't continue a friendship. And I really...
Now, I'm under the impression, and I was told, that Mutahar got one guyed by a Reddit poster. Is there any truth to that?
really can't, like, again, excuse some of my behavior watching some of this content as well.
So he makes it very clear from the intro that he is largely disavowing Nux Taku thanks to the fictional content he has consumed and the fictional content he has shared with other content creators, including Mutahar himself. And this is supposed to be another angle of the video where Mutahar is taking accountability for his role in consuming some of this content he believes is illegal. So this is where there's a bit of a longer clip. This goes on for about a minute, but I think it's really important to listen to because he sets up some wild standards that end up basically being self-sabotage.
Oh,
and,
God.
Again, when I was working with Nux, a lot of the things we did talk about was being anti-loli in that situation. And Nux very much made it clear to me that he was anti this stuff as well, too, and he still maintains it to this day. But the kind of stuff that he showed us was anime knee summer. Now, inside the video, inside Nux's presentation, it kind of came off as like just a cursed little hentai. And the reality of it is I never really watched his collaboration. But if you take the name that knee summer has had and put it into my anime list, which I realistically should have done at the time, you can see the synopsis is Yuta Yamayuchi is a average high school student, right? So right there, I'm not going to play the whole semantics, oh, is this really loli game? Like, I don't even care if somebody is like 18 or on the cusp of like turning 19. At the end of the day, high school can very much involve a minor. And when you scroll down and go to the...
So that's really all we got to hear in terms of this point, but he makes several standards here, right? So he's talking about this video that Nux had him react to, and he thinks that it contains
I think high school DxD is majorly fine. The problem is with Japan, a lot of animes and a lot of hentai, you gotta watch like it's Mushoku Tensei, where it's like, oh, Mushoku Tensei would be great if there wasn't all that pedophile shit. But unfortunately, that's pretty much a lot of anime and hentai medium. It's a shame. You know what I'm saying? Even Dragon Ball Z got Son Goku's baby dick out. Japan's weird, man. Japan's weird.
lolicon by his own definition, and that makes it bad. And he sets up the standard about high school students in high school settings and things like that. So, number one, I do believe that you should care about the definition of a term you're using to chastise others. Okay, he makes it clear that he's kind of just making up his own definition of lolly as he goes, but still feels strong enough to use that self-created definition to cancel other people.
Balls.
That seems a bit irresponsible to me. And if you want a correct definition, I don't care what some Twitter spurg says and their misinformation surrounding the topic, because there is so much
Spurg means
misinformation surrounding this
retard,
topic.
in case you don't know.
Lolly is a very simple
Spurg is short for Asperger's. Asperger's, people like to relate that to retard. So it's kind of like the more brand safe way to say retard.
definition. It is a petite body type in anime and manga. That's it. It comes along with cute aesthetics. It has nothing to do with age. Twitter has filled people's minds with a lot of misinformation on the topic. And if you want proof of that, here's like the easiest example, right? Rebecca from Cyberpunk. She's in her 20s. She is unequivocally a lolly. No one can question that. That is literally what she is. Even Studio Trigger, one of the most legendary and
Nah, she ain't. Tectone Coping. How in the fuck no? The studio themselves said it? Oh, that's crazy. The studio's wrong. She's just small. It's way different, bro. That's way different. Let's not do this whole short equals child thing. She's presented as an adult. She has an adult personality. She has an adult body. She's a little bit short. So my roommate, Anna, the 4'8" dwarf, is she a lolly? Hell no. It says she's 20 years old. Exactly.
anime studios out there categorizes her as that term. This is not a debate. Unfortunately, like I said,
Lolly is not child. Brother, you understand that lolly quite literally means female child. It never meant child in Japanese. Oh, okay, I'm wrong. Hey, I admit that I'm wrong. I totally thought that's what it meant. Okay, great. I always thought that lolly meant like female girl child. And I always thought Shota meant male child. Great. Misunderstood. That being said, if someone says they like lollies, that still just screams red flag to me.
Twitter has spread so much misinformation that this very simple term has been manipulated into something used to weaponize outrage about fictional content, to cancel people, and what have you. But anyways, we also see Mutahar set up this definition about these high school students. Even when these characters are 18 or on the cusp of being 19, it doesn't matter. It's still falling under this lolicon definition of his because of the school uniforms and the school setting, which is not just pretty a reach, to say the least, but also
more people should be okay with admitting their mistakes. It makes the world a much better place.
so it's incredible self-sabotage. I mean, one of the worst cases of self-sabotage I have seen in quite some time, because in this video that Nux showed, of course, there was those high school students, and his outrage over that would be fine if it wasn't for the fact that his self-described favorite hentai is Dropout. And if you can't see
Yeah, that shit was hot. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but there were some scenes in Dropout that were good.
it from the image from
This was the only chick I liked in Dropout, where she's getting banged against the wall. That shit was hot.
that content, she is wearing a high school uniform, because the entire premise of this hentai is high school students in a high school setting. And I could scroll to the right because there's
So I think it's because the aesthetic of the uniform is like hot to a lot of people. A lot of people like for example, like when, okay. All right. So I went to a private school. We had a uniform. I went to college. My girlfriend went to college. That uniform looked hot as fuck on her, bro. I'm not gonna lie, okay? Because when you put a college bitch in that uniform, that's hot as fuck. It's the same thing with office attire. You know what I'm saying? That shit's hot as fuck. Because her boobies got bigger too. Now, our ass were both 20, but also, ain't nobody think this chick's a kid, bro. Ain't nobody think this chick's a kid.
Tags included in this image, and I will just have to censor my whole screen. Here's some of the tags, right? There's a high school girl uniform, high school boy uniform. There's R wording in this. There's chloroform. There's snuff. There's other tags.
Dropout's
like
really fucking weird.
And scat. Like
Dropout
to
is hella
the
weird.
normie side of the internet, which is probably the type of people who are, you know, in Mutahar's circle. That's a pretty hardcore set of content right there.
Sure.
Okay, and it contains the exact thing that he is canceling Nux for by his own definition. And if you don't trust me, I mean, you can listen to him talking about this only a few years ago.
It was Dropout. That was the name. Dropout. Don't. So basically,
This is 4 years ago.
It's like if you're not
I mean, this is 4 years, right? This is 4 years ago.
smart, like if you're not a smart chick, they turn you into like like a public urinal where like you just get fucked.
You get the point, okay? He's describing the plot. It is something that, by his own definition...
So I want to make sure that the lolicons watching this shit understand why these content creators get so defensive about this. Because what the internet thinks you're saying they are is people who jerk off to like 8-year-old kids, right? When in reality, what they're doing is jerking off to anime adult women, like chicks with huge tits, huge asses, but they're just wearing a certain uniform, which nobody thinks is weird whatsoever. The problem is that it's so gray that people immediately assume the worst. And that's why people freak the fuck out about it.
Is something...
Anatomically adult built cartoon women in the context of like high schoolers. Yeah, exactly.
worthy of...
Like, for example, high school DxD. What's the name of the red-haired chick? I know thousands of people. I know thousands of people who think this chick is bad as fuck. Nobody calling this bitch a lolly. The problem is that people who jerk off to Rias Gremory, then these weirdos say, oh, you jerk off to this, which means you jerk off to that, huh? And it's like, no. Because one looks like a kid, the other one looks like a fucking adult. And that's the big issue. Am I wrong? We are not the same. And that's why it gets so confusing, and that's why people have such visceral reaction. They ain't like us.
Of losing a friendship over, a business relationship over. So I think that level of hypocrisy...
Oh, and by the way, guys, Kana's older than Rias.
...and self-sabotage in that 1 minute section of the video was already enough to really scale back any sort of point he was trying to make. But let's move on to the next section. I stated earlier in the video that a lot of people point out the fact that he consumes these cartel execution videos. And right here, he addresses that point directly.
Now, obviously, I want to address some other, like, power round criticism before we end this off. Lol, fuck Muta. Dude's been a hypocrite forever as well. Dude virtue signals over cartoons, but loves watching beheading videos. So I want to also address this statement as well. Now,
yeah, we saw this.
On the podcast, I talked about a morbid curiosity that I have with, like, beheading videos, like cartel stuff on the internet. And I feel like I have to explain this a little bit more. My morbid curiosity comes from the fact that for a long time, for years at this point, I've been looking into the Mexican drug war. And if you ever...
Okay, so he'll go on to clarify that a little bit more, but I think it's just an unbelievable level of copium where he's trying to say his morbid curiosity towards this subject is one from an investigation sort of view, right? He's trying to investigate this topic, which is odd because it's like you're not law enforcement. It doesn't give you the right to consume any illicit content you want. And on top of that, like, that sort of justification could be used for a lot of different illicit content people want to consume online. And again, at the end of the day, we're thinking too hard about this, right? I just don't think people want to be virtue signaled at about fictional content from a guy who can stomach and go through videos of real life people being brutalized in horrific ways. Okay, I think it's really not that complicated. But the next clip we're going to watch involves some of the blind spots he had towards...
I agree, watching that content's weird as I can understand if somebody wanted to become more enlightened and informed on what exactly these horrific incidents actually look like once or twice, but not on a frequent basis, because then it just becomes weird as fuck.
Nux and possibly other people, but let's listen to what he had to say.
So again, I don't...
Because I'll be real, like, I never watched Two Girls, One Cup. I never watched the guy shoving the jar up his ass. I'm just like, I know what it is. I don't want to see it. Watch the video, and then all of a sudden the knife goes to a dude's throat, and I'm like, oh God, I know where this is going, and then I click off. I don't think I would hold it against my friends if they were to see it once or twice and send me a link to it. But if they were consuming it regularly and be like, oh, dude, I love this. I'm like, oh, what the fuck is wrong with you? It's just weird. Wait, why did you watch it? I just said that I didn't watch it.
Really watch a lot of content creators that I collaborate with, and nobody really does, okay? Like, at the end of the day, when it came to Nux's channel, here I'm signed on with my actual YouTube account, and if it's one thing that you'll see, usually under videos, there'll be like a red bar. I don't have a red bar under basically any of these videos. I think the only video I have an actual red bar in this is probably... I showed YouTubers the most cultured clips, which I actually browsed through just for the sake of, again, this video.
Okay, so he says some things that are right generally, but they're not correct specifically when referring to Nux Taku. So yes, I agree with him when he says that a lot of content creators don't watch the content of people they associate with online, whether it's like someone they follow or maybe even friends with. They're not going to consume every single video they upload, and I think that's true. Like, I'm mutuals on social media with a lot of people who are content creators. I might have seen like one or two
Hold up!
videos or a small snippet of what they do. I am not sitting there watching every single video they upload. That's just the reality. There's not infinite hours in the day to do stuff like that.
Then why the fuck did you hold me accountable for one account I followed out of thousands that posted weird shit when I didn't know they posted that? Because that's exactly what I said. I said I followed them for one blowjob image a year and a half ago, and then you said that I'm responsible for that shit. So if you get that shit now, why the fuck did you not get that back then? Man, okay, I'm gonna give Rev the benefit of the doubt, and maybe he learned his mistake from my situation. Guys, I have no interest going after Rev whatsoever because I like his content and I frequently consume it. But what I don't get is, if he went after me for that exact same thing that he just said he would never go after somebody for, why did he go after me so hard? That shit sucked ass, bro. I don't want to be bitter about that. I really don't want to be bitter about that, but that's crazy.
So yeah, some things could slip through the cracks here and there, but Nux Taku to Mutahar is not just some Twitter mutual or random guy.
If it was fucking... Oh my God, it gets worse every single time he seconds because that's all it was just a fucking Twitter guy. Okay, I swear to God, people will jump on the hate train about me for fucking anything. Whatever, I don't want to get tilted. Let's keep our composure.
They kind of barely know, right? This is someone who he was friends with. This is someone who he collabed with. It wasn't just one video that he was reacting to that hentai with. There was many videos. I can count at least a handful of collab videos they did on Nux Taku's main channel, and also they ran a podcast together. So you didn't even look at this guy's channel. It's not like you had to watch the videos. Just scroll through the thumbnails and you would see stuff left and right that would probably upset someone with the sort of disgust they have for certain fictional content. On top of that, I do find it kind of hard to believe that he hasn't been exposed to some of these controversies, especially someone who was friends with Nux Taku, whether it's some of the thumbnail drama and all that stuff and the hypocrisy on the subject of Lolly, but also some of his bigger controversies like the Taiga controversy, for example, which would be covered in this video. He would actually mention what happened with Taiga as a way to show that Nux isn't a very good person, and there's really a lot to say here. If you don't know the Bungo Taiga situation, I'll put a link to one of my videos in the description if you want to check out that whole thing. But he is now bringing this up in this video, acting like this is the first he's ever heard of the Nux and Taiga controversy.
To go over a bit of their controversy, in summer 2022, Taiga was accused of grooming.
Never
they
heard of
made a
this,
tweet
I don't
longer
think.
where they reviewed the allegations and called them false. Later, an updated Google
Do I know about
Doc was
Tyga? I don't recall
created
this, chat.
that had evidence that not only were these allegations fake, they were deliberately created by ex-moderators and
I find it weird a guy with a lolly avatar and lolly display pics calling up people for being lolly lovers. Well, he's doing that because he wants them to be like him.
spread by a stalker of Tyga. So again, this is the Google Doc in question. Now again, I have no idea about this controversy whatsoever. I'm only bringing this up because it was actually a big point of contention for someone like Nux.
So he goes on to talk about the situation a bit, and if you don't know, very briefly, Nux called Tyga a predator based on allegations he had heard at the time. Those allegations.
People need to relax with allegations and calling people out for them. Allegations does not equal proof. And I'll be real, guys. Any single person on this earth can have allegations. Any single person. It just takes one mentally deranged individual to give someone allegations. And if we give those people power, if we give mental illness power, society as we know it is over. You must have proof of what you're saying. You must. If you don't, that means anybody who doesn't like you can ruin your career at any time.
Allegations were debunked by an independent investigator later on, and Nux made a.
But you said that about Zajef. I didn't say Zajef was a pedophile. I said that he looks like one, and he does. Now, if you want to provide me a clip of me saying that Zajef is a pedophile, go ahead. Show me where I said that. And when you do, I'll pull it up on stream.
Pinned comment basically saying he would possibly readdress this whole situation if he was found innocent, which Tyga was, but he never really addressed it fully for many, many years. And over the course of basically 2 full years, this was an ongoing controversy that caused a lot of damage to the reputation of Tyga unfairly. And Nux, still to this day, really.
So if I can, you look like a predator, it's okay. Yeah, absolutely. If you say you look like this, then yeah, you can say that. Just like when Hassan came up to me and said, you look like someone who frequents Ohio gas stations. I laughed it off because it's just a jab. It's funny. Who cares?
Really hasn't fully acknowledged. He's tried to apologize over the summer when this flared up again, but he really didn't do a very good job of it, at least to most people. But this is something that, like I said,
saying you
going on
look
for
like
2
something
years
doesn't carry any accusation.
A lot of people look at the Vishojo drama and that controversy with Nux, and they think that's the biggest thing he's faced. Maybe in some ways, I think it was the most explosive controversy he was a part of, but the Tyga situation.
You keep getting these comments in chat because they heard from a top voted comment and they believe it immediately. Yeah, sure. Send me the clip of me calling Zaj a pedophile. I have no recollection of this. I actually don't believe I've said this. I believe I just said that he looks like one.
Might be the biggest because it's taken place for 2 years and it regularly flares up like it did over the summer. So I have a hard time believing Mutahar has never heard about this until now, and especially since the first attempt at an apology by Nux, the first time he addressed it, was about a year after he initially called Tyga a predator in a collab video with Moist Critical. He did that on the Some Ordinary podcast. He referred to making mistakes with that situation. He was very vague, but again, how do you not know this ever happened? I mean, it's either just putting on blinders, like he said, he's been putting on blinders to people he's friends with, or the worst possibility is that he's only bringing this up now to disparage Nux, which shows he doesn't really care about the situation, if that's the truth. If he really did know about this beforehand, but if he didn't, at the very least, he's been having very active blinders to some of the controversies that Nux has been a part of. And this whole question of bringing up things during this video, there was a question of why do this at all, right? Like, why even bring up any of this stuff to begin with? And I think it becomes pretty obvious that there's been a big flare-up of people calling out Mutahar and his connection to Nux and some of the collabs he did with him, thanks to a Reddit post that was blowing up. He made the cardinal mistake of caring what Reddit thinks.
Yep.
But one of the clips that I saw, one of the things shared.
Reddit is the biggest source of retardation on the internet. There are people who actually care what subreddits like LSF think about them, who will shape their entire career based on what LSF says. There are people who sit at home alone in their room in the dark, refreshing LSF, upvoting every comment that says something good, getting their community to downvote every comment that says something bad. And they'll do it every fucking day because they care that much what subreddits say. and it's just sad.
Was resurfaced video of Oompaville, Some Ordinary Gamers, and Nux Taku watching Loli together on a Discord call. So when I see this kind of stuff, it blows me, and obviously it flashbangs
blows
anybody,
you.
And I want to definitely have a talk about it and really explain to you exactly what this is, what it's about, give you my side of the perspective, and again, take accountability where accountability needs to be fucking taken.
So, yes, you can see this was the intro of the video, but he makes it clear that this post is what drove him into this, and I do probably believe that is the truth. I think this is what made him, or motivated him to make this video. That makes it.
Give you my about it, gamers, and
Resurface video of Oompaville, Some Ordinary Gamer, and Nux Taku watching lolly porn together on Discord call. Yeah, I can see why that would drive somebody fucking insane. Especially with a very good reputation like Mutahar.
Under his skin, and a lot of other content creators have been coming for him, even calling Mutahar a predator and all these things for the content he was exposed to while reacting to those videos with Nux Taku. And it really begs the question of who was this video for? Was this video for entertainment and the entertainment of his audience? Or was this to quell concerns among his colleagues and really like commentary channels, generally speaking? And I think it's the latter. And I think if he had a more level-headed reaction to this whole situation, clearly this was a very emotionally charged video.
People need to be okay with people being emotional during emotional circumstances. Being called such heinous things is obviously going to elicit emotion, and people need to stop hypercritically analyzing people based on their overreaction to some horrendous things being thrown their way. People are human. They have emotions. They're allowed to emote. Let's calm down and stop holding people to such ridiculously high standards. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has emotions, and let's stop putting a negative perception around them.
So I think if he went with a clearer head, he wouldn't have made this video. When you get to a point where you're making a video not for entertainment or the informing your audience of a situation or anything like that, when it becomes like an airing out of personal grievances against people or things like that, that tends to have a bad reaction. And the reaction from the people to Mutahar when his video was still up was very largely negative. The majority of comments were negative. There was a heavy dislike ratio. I think it was very
Nah, it really wasn't that bad. It was like a 20% dislike. This is an exaggeration.
clear that people were just not really impressed by a 40-minute video attacking someone over fictional content, attacking to the point where you end a friendship and a business relationship over it. But there's also this is the post that I'm referring to, by the way. I'm a little scattered here with all these tabs open, but this was the post on Reddit if you're curious.
Most comments were negative. Okay, so the top comments being negative means that there was a coordinated upvoting and downvoting. If you were to, so people say most of the comments were negative. I doubt they went through all of the comments. They probably just saw the most upvoted ones. And the people who watch it were like, oh, okay, I get it. But the people who are angry are like, oh, I got to upvote every negative comment, right? So it doesn't really matter that much, just being real.
But this is the conclusion of the video, so let's listen to his final thoughts and kind of how he wraps up everything in this video.
at the end of the day, I make fuck-ups. Human beings, we all make fuck-ups. I think choosing how you acknowledge those fuck-ups, that goes a long way. And how I choose to acknowledge this fuck-up is basically, again, by completely being 100% transparent, honest with you, shedding light on things like the podcast shutting down. And ultimately, I want to move past this, leave this behind, and really just sort of end this on a note where at least I get my side of the story out. For the last...
So, obviously, he harps on taking accountability a lot during this video, and then the video goes private. So kind of like, what...
But he deleted the video? Well, yeah, because the lolicon community is freaking the fuck out on him. He attracted the attention of the wrong audience, and now he's pissed. What do you expect?
What was the point of all of this? I'm not quite sure, but he would
It wasn't he was losing a lot of subs. Losing subs doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is view count.
make a community post on YouTube saying this regarding the last
This was big.
video about Nux. While I can't be a friend after some of the things that have resurfaced, I do feel I did do an overreaction that stemmed from being emotional on the reaction from the community on Reddit. Again, paying attention to anything Reddit says is a huge mistake. But he continues on saying, I've been watching my content for the past few weeks and realized my channel has slipped into a slop channel. I've made more...
Personally, I love slop channels. I don't know. I'm a slop consumer. I don't need every video to be carefully like organized and like oh, this needs to have 48 hours of work and otherwise I'm not watching. I'll be real. The shit that I watch is just slop, right? I watch like Wrestle Talk, right? Just people talking about certain things. That's what I like. I like reactionary content. I like slop content. I think it's fucking fun. I want to know this person's thoughts on this matter and see how it aligns with mine. It is interesting. It makes me see what I agree with, what I disagree with. Then I get to form a more complete opinion knowing other people's opinions. And that's what I like to do.
Drama-related content over the last several months, then I have fun, engaging, and informative content. That includes producing videos that don't release daily. I need to take more time.
How many of you guys are daily sloppers?
And release content a couple times a week that stands in quality and not quantity. I don't do this for a job, so honestly, going out of my way to constantly chase trends has done nothing beneficial for me other than alienating my most hardcore fans. I need to take a few days off and reset and produce better content that isn't the latest trends or internet drama. While that produces a good view count, it's not the kind of content I want to be known for. I'll be back with
I would love to be known for being a daily slopper. Just being real.
Content that I'm proud of. In regards to past collaborations, all I can do is apologize and promise to do better. So that's kind of the end of the situation, and probably the best thing for him to do, which is touch grass. Take a break from this stuff. What happened with Nux and this whole topic has clearly really gotten into his head, and it led to 40 minutes of really just some disappointing content. And like I said earlier in the video, I've been a fan of his content for years, and I would like to see a return, but for a lot of people, after seeing kind of this whole thing go down, they might not be giving a second chance, but that's up to every individual person, and yeah, feel free to react the way you want to that situation. But for now, that's going to do it for this Mutahar x Nux Taku set of drama here, as always.
Yeah, it was a great video. There was a lot of things I agreed with, a lot of things I disagreed with. A lot of hypocrisy, a lot of issues. It's sloppy. It really is sloppy, but it is what it is. Great vid. Go check out Rev Says Desu if you want. Follow, like, and subscribe to my channel if you want. See you on the next one. More slop content later, boys. Peace.